on 88.5 Sufre FM. Tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Casualty 911 on 88.5 Super FM. It's always good to be here. Thank you to everybody who's working so hard to get me on this morning. I've said from the beginning of the year, I'm learning. I'm learning to help myself with the technical aspects of the job, and I'm doing very poorly. But, you know, it takes a little longer for some than others, and I am one of the some for whom it will take a little longer. So thank you so much to Romanus and Jani and Erlan, who are here working to get everything set up. Thank you so much for that. To our listeners, thank you for joining us. Our regular listeners, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Sometimes I say regular listeners and I have no idea who those regular listeners are. And you're out in the community and somebody might say, I heard you on the radio or I was looking at the program. Just recently, somebody said to me, Hey, Fauhn, I didn't know you were on that program. I just happened to tune in and there you were. So I hope that this person will continue to join us on 88.5 for Casualty 911 every morning. Every Monday morning. To our new listeners, welcome. It's always a pleasure to have you. Today is the 3rd of February 2025. I am your host, Fauhn Minvielle, and we have with us a wonderful guest. She's no stranger to Soufre. She's no stranger to 88.5. She's no stranger to St. Lucia. That's how big our guest is this morning, because you know her not only as a health educator, which she is, but she's also, should I say, entertainer? Yes, she is an entertainer from the beautiful town of Soufre. Joining us this morning is Naomie Grandison. She has hosted the program before, so she's no stranger at all, not at all. And I'm very happy to have you on this morning, Naomie. As I said, today is the 3rd of February. Tomorrow, the 4th of February, is observed as World Cancer Day. And Naomie has had a very integral role in the planning of that observance. Last year, she was in the forefront last year and again this year. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for her to come in, join us today, and we'll talk a little bit about the plans as it pertains to the observance of World Cancer Day. Naomie, thank you for joining us. Just hold on a little while. I can't hear you. Can you go ahead now, Naomie? We cannot hear you, so we're going to try to troubleshoot. Can you hear us?
Yeah, but we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. So maybe your mic, could it be? Okay, so somebody is working to get you on, Naomie. We will just wait a little and see if we can resolve that as quickly as possible. Can you try again, Naomie? Let's see if we can hear you. Oh, we can't hear you. So maybe Should we take a break and try to resolve that? Yes, we'll take a short break and try to get Naomie on.
Selective Fata in the mix.
Now here's some sound boy all around the world running up their mouth talking about the
Casualty 911, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with the consultant. Health is not merely the absence of diseases. It is your social, economic, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Just imagine you on 88.5 Sufre FM talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed, take your medication, exercise, and tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
Country Line Miles Bridge Sufre, get ready for this big one. It's Trevor's birthday bash for 2025. Yes, happening on Saturday, February 1st, inside Country Line Miles Bridge Sufre. Doors open at 8 p.m. sharp, and admission is only $10. With music by the undisputed boss of country music, DJ Bucker. The
Are you hearing me now?
Fat Boy, and also featuring the legal sound.
I changed the audio. I decided to come on the phone instead.
To be won Saturday, February 1st. See you.
So it looks we'll have to I was on my computer and so it seems the computer is.
Casualty 911, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with the consultant. Health is not merely the absence of diseases. It is your social, economic, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Just imagine you on 88.5 Sufre FM talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed, take your medication, exercise, and diet. On 88.5 Sufre FM, tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
Thank you to all our listeners for being patient while we dealt with a few technical difficulties. If you are just joining us, our guest today is Miss Naomie Grandison, and we will be talking about the observance of World Cancer Day starting tomorrow, the 4th of February, 2025. However, before we go into all the plans and the details of World Cancer Day, I spoke a little bit about Naomie, but I don't think I could ever do justice. So I will allow Naomie to tell us a little bit about herself. I said very briefly that she's from Sufre and all of that. But Naomie, please share a little bit about yourself with the listeners before we get into it. You know, people like to get that little human touch so they know who they're talking to, who's talking to them.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. I guess we're on live and everybody's hearing me now.
Yes.
It is an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to be on Casualty 911. Fauhn, thanks for having me. Well, as Fauhn has said, my name is Naomie Grandison. I work as a health educator in the Health Education and Communications Unit at the Ministry of Health. I used to be in Sufre doing a bit of health promotion, health education, and I remember my days at Casualty 911 as well. So big up to all the Sufre posse, my Market Road posse. Let me just put a plug in there. So I am here. You know, I also sing. I also do poetry. I had done an interview with the DJ some time back. For a song that I released. But today I'm here in the capacity as a health educator who is working on the World Cancer Day observance for this year.
Okay, wonderful. So Naomie, let us start off. You know, of late, you seem to hear people talking about people falling ill with cancer as if it's happening much more frequently than in previous years. We know that many people are being Many people have been affected by that condition. And as we always say when we talk about chronic non-communicable diseases, the person who has the condition is not the only one affected by the condition. So
Exactly.
you have families, you have friends, you have communities. And sometimes when we hear about people who who have that condition, and sometimes it seems to come out of nowhere, it's a surprise. It really does affect people in many different ways, particularly emotionally. You find that some people become very fearful, and people really want to know, the one of the main questions is, but what causes that? We cannot really talk about causes. However, I'm sure there are certain factors that you will be sharing with us that could
Mm-hmm.
help people in terms of reducing the risk of being aware. Because when we do these programs and we talk about the various conditions, as I always say on the program, it's about raising awareness. It's about
Exactly.
increasing our knowledge, increasing our skill, increasing our ability to reduce our risk for those chronic non-communicable diseases. So today I invite you to take it from whichever angle you feel most comfortable starting with. And of course, I will be joining you in discussion as you go through, the observance. But I know that you will not only be speaking about the observance, you will speak about the lifestyle factors that have an influence on cancer and the development, the diagnosis of cancer, and so on.
Yes, indeed. Fawn, I'm so happy that you took the approach from it's not only the person who actually has been diagnosed with cancer, but ideally it's the family, and by extension even the health providers, and the community as well. It ties into the world observance, I'll say the global theme, which is united by unique, which speaks to individual stories, individual experiences. When they come together and they are expressed, they can unite in one cause, and that one cause, of course, is first to reduce the incidence of cancer, and of course the suffering and the difficulties that it ends up contributing to. And by extension, we have chosen the theme this year to be a very proactive one that stimulates some movement. So it is Act Against Cancer. And acting against cancer, yes, we know that there are those cancers that are hereditary, that may not be anything related to the way we live our lives. And we don't, we cannot just say, oh, because somebody got cancer is necessarily something they did. But in many cases, there is a lot that we can do to mitigate cancer, acquiring certain cancers, and also getting it dealt with, because it's not a death sentence. So, Act Against Cancer, we're focusing on lifestyle screenings and advocacy. So, zooming in on the lifestyle, there are various cancers, including um, cancers of the stomach, breast cancer, and as a matter of fact, the top five cancers in St. Lucia, um, actually, it's interesting. We always say the men don't do enough screening, and right at the top in terms of cancer, we have prostate cancer, and falling next in line, we have breast cancer. So the top for men is prostate, and the top for women is cancer, followed by the genital cancers, which would be the cervical cancer for women.
I think we've lost you, but Naomi has been talking about your
Am
back.
I am I back? Yes,
Your
yes. I
back.
got a little bit of a disturbance with a call, because that's why I didn't want to go on the phone, but the laptop failed me. So we were talking about the among the top five, we have prostate, we have breast cancers, the genital cancers we've grouped together. So these examples would be the cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, and we have the intestinal cancers, which were grouped together in the data that I received. We have the colorectal cancer, so colon cancer, rectal cancer. A number of persons I find have been getting diagnosed, and interestingly, we have skin cancer. So
I
when
don't
you look,
think we usually equate skin cancer with our population because many of us are of a darker complexion, and some people tend to think that it is a cancer that affects only Caucasians.
yes, exactly, well
As
put.
we call them.
We think that our darker hue somehow
Yes,
protects us
protect us.
from, yeah, because we have the melanin and so on. But as a matter
It
of
was
fact,
very interesting to see it among the top 5.
yeah. So what I've realized, the way the statistics were given, they kind of grouped the genital cancers, which is cervical and ovarian. So if you had to list them one by one, it might have gone down a little lower down, but still it would be in the top 10, and that is of concern, which means to say that we need to again take action. It's very proactive. I think there are certain cultures who are accustomed to just using sunscreen. Some of them they use the sunscreen, but in our culture we don't see the need for that. We don't see the need for sunscreen. We go on these boat rides. We're out in the sun working construction. Our job has us outside for the entire day, and we don't see the need to put on sunscreen. But we need
I
to
think
look
some of
into
us
that.
live our entire lives without ever putting on any sunscreen.
And that is concerning because when we speak of cancer, usually it says, oh my god, money. When you think of cancer, you think of the expense associated with cancer, not even just the sadness of hearing that you have cancer or the impact that it might have on their family. But I still want to give a hopeful perspective in that, these things are treatable and some of them are preventable. So let's do what we can for the preventative aspect. And if you do end up having the cancer, let's hope it is detected early, because early detection is key for better outcomes, because a lot can be done if it's done early. If it is caught later, for instance, breast cancer, prostate cancer, cervical cancer, these are in the top 3 category there. If it is checked later, there's a lot of advancements, in cancer care. However, our pockets are not as advanced to meet those demands, and so the earlier, the cheaper, in a sense, and the less complicated or complex. And in Saint Lucia, some of the treatments for cancer are fun. We know that we have here. Thankfully, we have the chemotherapy. You
Yes.
understand? We have the chemotherapy, but we don't have radiology. So persons will have to travel, you understand, to get that additional treatment. We have surgery, we have chemotherapy. There's an oncology department in the complex, the Millennium Heights complex. I hope I got that correct. However, a lot of the advanced treatments, like the immunotherapy, where they try to boost your immune system and so on, these treatments are you have to get out of Ireland, which is money, a lot of money. So act against cancer lifestyles. What are the lifestyle practices we've been talking about? Are the very
But
lifestyles
before we
that
even go into the lifestyle practices, I'm very happy that at the beginning you mentioned that it is not a death sentence. And I think that is one of the
the
issues as it
yes.
relates to people's reluctance sometimes to go and get screened, because many people still believe that if you are diagnosed with cancer, you will just die.
Yes, as a
There
matter
is
of fact,
no hope of surviving with a good quality of life. And we
I'm
need to try to change that in terms of the finances, in as much as it is difficult. And I know that it is one of those things that causes a lot of anxiety. Once you get diagnosed with any condition, not only cancer, but particularly cancer, we know that that spells money. And I
yes.
know later on you'll be talking about support and the importance of support in terms of dealing with a cancer diagnosis. It is
Diagnosis, yes.
important financially, emotionally, to have that support, because as you said, the theme talks about the uniqueness, and each person is going to experience it differently. There are people who are well able to deal with it financially and others who are not. So the fear that they have and the anxiety that they have may not be related to finances. Some people may not have that anxiety, others would.
Yes,
Some people may
yes,
have a lot of support. There are people who are very spiritual and they get their strength
right.
to deal with those fears from that area. So as you said, it's a very unique experience. I don't think any one of us wants to actually go through it, but we know that
Exactly.
each person experiences it differently, and each
Yes,
person's the support that each person requires will be different. So we have to
different.
be open minded in terms of what support each person needs and how we can lend that support. But I'm sure you will be speaking a little bit more about that. I know it's part of your part of the plan that is there.
Yes,
So now we can talk a little bit about the lifestyle factors, because as you said, there are actions that can be taken to reduce our risk. And, some of us, we just take it for granted that we can just
yes.
live our lives as we wish and not pay attention to anything, and everything will turn out okay. So let's talk about some of those lifestyle factors.
I'm happy you put it that way. Sometimes, we have a popular thing saying in Saint Lucia, "Do it, you are go dead. Don't do
Oh,
it, you are go
oh
dead."
yes.
It
Or
seems
as,
to be
or
our
as
anthem.
we could say, especially when it relates to that, manger ou kay mo, pas manger.
Manger, yes, yes. So it's sort of like it sort of like creates this mindset that, let me just enjoy my life because at the
Exactly.
end of the day, however, sometimes we have to recognize that delayed gratification, delaying what you feel is going to give you the most enjoyment today can help you to have an even greater quality of life and even a better type of enjoyment tomorrow. And so some of the things that we can hold back today. When I say hold back, it's not even a to say you have to hold back all the time. I mean, it just should not be the modus operandi where that is just the what you do all the time or generally most of the time. So one of the things that we ask persons because of the risk associated with it is try to maintain a healthy weight. Maintaining a healthy weight, take action as much as possible to maintain a healthy weight because overweight and obesity increase the risk factors, the increase your risk for breast, colon, endometrial, kidney, esophagus, and pancreas cancer. So you are actually protecting yourself or giving yourself a layer of protection. Um, Protection, the more you can give yourself protection from a potential issue, the better chances that you have. We're not saying that you're not going to get it at all, but we're saying that the approach to life where let me see how much protection I can create, how much chance I give myself, puts you in a much better position. So hence the reason why a certain type of diet, learning yourself, learning what you like, but balancing it out with wholesome foods, fresh foods, less deep fried foods, less charred foods. As a matter of fact, charred meats contribute to,
Tell
and
us what you
salted
mean by
ground.
chad, because some
Right,
people may not be too au with that term.
like burnt,
Chad.
yeah, like the coals. We have the barbecued and the burnt up meats and so on, and it's on the fire. It's being barbecued with the coals and so on. These actually, consuming that very regularly can be problematic. And the other very very salty foods that are cured in salt as your constant intake is another issue as well. So we ask persons to try to maintain a healthy weight. At all our wellness centers, you get your a BMI reading, a body mass index reading for free. They can tell you if you're above weight, if you're below weight. You literally don't have to pay to find out where you are at. And a way that you can mitigate that, physical activity is another thing, 150 minutes a week, eating a healthy diet, we've spoken about that, the sugars, the salt, the saturated fats, the fried foods, the excessive starch. Another one that we know is tobacco. I like to put it that way. Tobacco equals cancer. Like, we know. I mean, it sounds very thing, but we know that there's a causation link between tobacco and cancer. I heard somebody tell me, oh, the great grandfather has been smoking tobacco from since he was a little boy and he never got cancer.
We always hear those stories.
Yes, we love to look at the what I would call what do you call that for? Like normally the one the less occurring experience as our guiding post. Our guiding post needs to go on the majority and not the small person who happened to. We don't even know if they have it and they never went in, right? So let's
Also need to take into consideration some of the other factors, because
true.
sometimes you may say that, okay, this person is so overweight and that person never, or whatever, the tobacco as you were talking about. But what are the protective lifestyle factors did that person have, that, or their genes? Each person is unique. But at the same
Right, I like that.
know that as a group, there are factors that can increase our risk, as you said. So, we need to move away from that. The older people had a very different
Different lifestyle, and they also didn't have exposure to all these factors in the environment, all these toxins in the environment, and in a lot of the products that we use, which would put them at greater risk. So that goes to say that we have to be even more vigilant. They were eating more clean at that time, more fresh foods at that time. There were less toxins in the air. And so cancer in itself is not just a one or two things contributing to it. Another very big one I want to really hammer it down, is the to limit your intake of alcohol, or if you are having a problem with alcohol, to avoid the use of alcohol, because alcohol in excessive use is associated to colorectal, neck, liver, esophagus, and even breast cancer. So it is advised that you limit to one or two drinks. That's a very small glass of wine, one shot of liquor, a beer. All of these have the same exact amount of pure alcohol in there. Pure ethanol, just more water, more whatever.
We do know what our culture is like. We do know what our culture is like.
Yes, it's not easy. We all like to celebrate.
And also, we also need to pay attention to what is happening around us. The World Health Organization has said that there are no benefits to consuming alcohol whatsoever. So those guidelines, as a matter of fact, if you really want to consume alcohol, that really should be your limit, because there are no benefits to consume alcohol.
The risks outweigh.
We've spoken about it on the show. There's so many drinks out there that people don't consider to be
alcoholic drinks, yes,
of the fact that they contain alcohol.
Such as the shandy, right?
Names. But
well, we're not calling out the brands, but at least we're letting persons know, like, even as you said, the WHO has said there's no benefit, so it's not even a recommendation. If you choose to drink, please limit it. You understand? Alcohol in itself is very harmful to the entire body, even in small amounts for certain people, and even more so with every additional serving that you have. Another key thing I want to highlight is managing our stress. um, Stress can create excessive stress. Not managing stress in a beneficial manner can cause chronic inflammation in the body. And in a lot of cases, cancer is basically when those cells, our cells within our body, begin to change and multiply too quickly, out of control. Whether it happens in the breast, whether it happens in the blood, there's a sort of like an abnormality in the multiplication of the cells, which may then become tumors. And one of the underlying factors is chronic inflammation. And if we are unable to utilize stress, I call it utilize because stress is good up to the point where it's too much and you cannot manage it, or it surpasses your coping skills. So we're asking persons to use more beneficial ways to cope with stress and be aware of when you are feeling stressed so that you can put your self-care in place to manage it. What is that? What is your self-care? Who are you? What do you love? What gives you that release? What nurture and take care of yourself, because stress in itself can be problematic as it relates to risk for cancer. So these are the lifestyle practices. Why we so concerned about cancer? Because I mean, within a few years period in St. Lucia, let me see if I just want to make sure I get the statistics right. Between 2018 to 2024, we had 1,519 diagnosed cases of cancer, and we had 820 cases among women and 698 cases among men. And I dare say that the men tend to avoid visiting the doctors. So we may end up having more women coming in to be diagnosed, so it's significant.
And we hope that that will change with the expansion of the men's health clinics throughout the island, that men will take advantage of the opportunity to go into the various wellness centers and get some screenings, get your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your prostate exam, get all of those screenings free of charge. So at least you know where you are at. You get your BMI and everything. You get to consult with a physician. So I hope that the men will really take advantage of that opportunity. So we speak a lot about finances, but in terms of what is available and the actionable steps that can be taken, you've already spoken about some of the lifestyle factors, but we can also speak about some of the services that are available to get
Thank
us
you.
on the road to
to
maybe
to
to a
Yes, yes.
clear health, or to know whether we do have some sort of cancer or condition, other health condition.
We're segueing nicely into the other aspect, which is screenings. And we decided to separate screenings from lifestyle because it's so significant. Sometimes we do our best, sometimes we do what we can, but the environment is against us because of the toxins or whatever. And the best way to tackle cancer is through early detection. You know what I mean? So screenings and knowing what screenings you are recommended for, having a relationship with a health provider, your nurse at the wellness centers, your doctor, your personal doctor is important. Knowing where the services are available when your pocket doesn't reach is significant. And hence the reason why we are saying you can get your breast exams done, you can get your cervical screening for cervical cancer via your pap smears done. We have a more accurate test available at all wellness centers. You can get your prostate examination done. And these are among the top three cancers which are killing our people. And these screening services are free, at least the first layer of screening. After that, they would need to go a bit deeper. But at least the first layer of screening is available at wellness centers. And you could find out from the health center when the men's clinic is. I think they run once a month. and you could find out when you can come in to get your cervical screening done, and your breast examinations. You can do them at home, get them done when you go in to see your nurse or the provider. Even in the with the UHC, I think they're also offering an ultrasound for the men, for the prostate and so on. So it goes a little deeper than just the PSA. So if the doctor sees you and see there's a need, they can recommend, and all of that is free. So screening and paying attention to your body, because one of the survivors I had met, he just had a fever. He just had a fever, which led him. He just had a fever. He was fine. He was in the garden. He was digging. He used to eat well and so on. And he just had this fever that wasn't going away. And his daughter is like, go and check that out. You haven't done your annual. So he went in, and the doctor found that his blood count was low. She gave him some iron. But then she said, you know what? Your age, we need to find out what is contributing to that. And he went and he had all his blood tests, and further they had him to do a some colon examination, colonoscopy, because he was of that age, and they realized he had polyps. When they checked it out, it was cancerous. And they successfully removed it, and he's thriving and he's bubbly and he's up and about right now. So it could have spread, it could have been advanced by the time you start getting terrible symptoms. So it's good to not wait for when things are terrible for you to go in and check on yourself. Make it a habit to go to your doctor at least every year, find out when they recommend. You don't have to do everything every year. Whatever they recommend, whether it be 3 years, 5 years, you try to stick to it as much as possible. This is what will help us to reduce the negative outcomes for cancer, mainly the screenings.
Absolutely.
Coupled with the screenings cannot be overemphasized. For cancer, because we do what we can to reduce our risk, but we need to find out if we're on point, and it's only through screening we can find out if we're on point and if we're okay.
And as it relates to the breast screening, women go in usually once a year for the clinical breast exam, but we also would like to encourage women to get to know their breasts at home, to do the self breast exam once a month, check yourself. I mean, as I always say to people, who should know your breast better than you? If you see your breast in a lineup, you should know that's my breast. You should know the direction that your nipples are pointing in. You should know how they feel, because the doctor or the nurse that you go to once a year is trained, yes, to do the clinical breast exam. But chances are that if there's something wrong, you may be the one to discover it. But if you're not doing your self breast exam, you won't. It's very simple. You just won't. I think we lost you again, Naomie. I think we lost you again. I'm not hearing any sound coming from your end. No, I can't hear you now. I think you probably did something to your phone. So I hope that you can get that fixed, because I would like you to speak a little bit more about what, the other plans that we have in observance of World Cancer Day. No, I can't hear you yet, Naomie. Oh, we're having tech. Oh, I think you're back on now. Should be.
You heard me now?
Yes, wonderful. Wow.
Okay. These things happen when you're not. These things happen when I just simply took off the thing and it caused a change. But hey, we're back. We were talking about lifestyles. We were talking about screening, because Act Against Cancer, lifestyle screening, and the last one is the advocacy. And we at the Ministry of Health, we are encouraging the populace to advocate on behalf of the person who has been diagnosed. Advocate for yourself, advocate for your family, advocate for a stranger. And how you can do that is to reach out to the cancer support agencies. And even if it's just $5, we have a Pledge 5 challenge. a Pledge 5 challenge for World Cancer Day, which is tomorrow. You pledge it within yourself what you intend to do. One, to reduce cancer for yourself, and to support a cancer agency. So make that decision for the month of February. Pledge. You can even post it if you want that you pledging on World Cancer Day, which is tomorrow. You pledging to donate at least $5 or just donate to a cancer support agency, or you pledging to make some changes. You pledging to make some changes in your life, some improvements in your habits. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, I will share some of the comments and questions that we have in the feed.
Mm-hmm.
We have a comment where somebody is saying we probably will compare it to death. You know, we were speaking earlier about the death sentence. We probably will compare it to death sentence because we don't have the financial means to pay for it. And then we have somebody talking about some of our people won't eat meat or food without high salt and seasoning. Also, unless the meat is so dark, because you spoke about, you know, the charred meats and so on. So some people have that preference. And as you said, it's a pledge that we can make to, that is one of the pledges that we can make. If we fall into that category, then we can include this one as one of our pledges, you know, in observance of World Cancer Day, and to carry it beyond the day. We also have a question. Is there a suggested age men should start going for the screening? So in terms of screening, I am guessing that the person might be speaking about the prostate screening because you mentioned it earlier. No, I've lost you again, Naomie. You should. No, I can't hear you.
Are you hearing me now?
It's wonderful. Yes,
Okay. So that's a good question. The 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 time for screening for prostate would depend on the person's risk factor. There's a blanket suggestion that it should be from 40 and above. However, it is recommended that the man speaks to a doctor even before 40. As an adult, um, let his history be known in terms of his risk for prostate or any type of cancer, and the doctor may recommend an earlier time, and given your special circumstances, maybe a slightly later time. But from 40, a man should start thinking about it, based on our general guidance thus far.
yes, absolutely. So, Naomie, there are other activities planned in association with World Cancer Day. Would you like to share some of them? And
Oh,
I'm
definitely.
shifting you quite quickly because I just realized that our time is
Oh,
moving
wow.
quickly as well.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh, wow.
I don't want the listening public to miss out on anything. So
Yes.
if you could just share with us some of the other activities associated with World Cancer Day this year.
So apart from the Pledge 5 challenge, which is to adopt 5 habits for World Cancer Day and beyond for the month of February, and to pledge $5 to a cancer support agency, which is something that you can post and attach that.
Would you like to share the hashtags?
Yeah, the hashtags, Pledge 5 Challenge, Act Against Cancer, World Cancer Day. So at least we can follow who is actually pledging. Please just Pledge 5 Challenge, World Cancer Day, Act Against Cancer. The next thing, activity that we're going to be doing trainings, education sessions within the community, promoting the services that we have, and within the different communities doing our screenings for different types of cancers. One of the key activities that we're having is a panel discussion, and I'm very excited about this panel discussion because it brings to the fore the connection between the two themes, united by unique and acts against cancer. So on the 5th, because we won't be able to get the 4th, the dates, so pledge on the 4th and attend the panel on the 5th. The 5th, it is located at South Louis Community College at the Innovation Hub. We are bringing together 5 different persons who are involved in cancer treatment and the cancer experience. We're bringing an oncologist together at a panel.
An
We're bringing
oncologist being
an oncologist being a cancer doctor who's also going to moderate the conversation, a surgeon, a cancer survivor, and somebody who has taken care of somebody who has cancer, a family member, along with a Ministry of Health official from the Universal Healthcare to discuss what are some of the screening options. So it is a wonderful opportunity for us to hear the feedback and to become part of the discussion. So if you can attend, it's from 12 to 2. It is going to be aired live on
that's
Ministry of
on Wednesday the 5th.
Wednesday the 5th from 12 to 2 at Safa. If you come in, you will be part of the conversation. We will be having a segment for persons to ask questions or make comments. You can get some information on cancer as well before you leave. So, or you can tune in if you can't can be there in present. MOH Communications on YouTube or Ministry of Health and Wellness and Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs in Musha on Facebook.
Wonderful. So, are you able to share with us your cancer survivor? What type of cancer it was? Are you able to share that information with us?
The cancer survivor, what I'm aware is that she had breast cancer. She had breast cancer. We also have one of the doctors is also a survivor as well, prostate cancer. Yes, so that
That's
I'm
very
hoping will be discussed. Yeah, yeah. So he advocates for early screening because when he got the news, he wasn't terribly perturbed or over the moon. He wasn't despondent. He took a very solution-minded approach because he understands that it was very early, and once he does what he has to do, all will be well. So he
And
took
he's
that
working
approach.
with a lot of prior knowledge.
Yeah, exactly,
So that is
exactly.
why we talk about the uniqueness of the experience. I mean,
Yes,
he could probably think through it a little more logically than others who may not have sufficient information or correct
information.
information, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There are people who experience certain symptoms and refuse to go to the doctor. You know, it's our culture to sometimes go first to a more traditional source of treatment. And sometimes in doing that, we prolong and delay the diagnosis. Hence the reason why sometimes some people are diagnosed at a much later stage than they ordinarily would have had they gone in and got screened.
Yeah, added to that,
Dealing with all of those issues within our context.
yes, the mistrust of the establishment is a key factor. I just want to say though that persons have gone through. We have had so many young people who are born with that special skill of research and just advanced knowledge, and they're the ones who go in to do all of this research on cancer. So we should allow them to give us those treatments to help save our lives because they have been digging deep and trying to save our lives, So be very mindful of the advice you take out there. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but always verify where it's coming from and be open to the health field and the medical field and the work and the deep work that has gone into the research on cancer.
And that leads me to a question that we have in the feed. Why is there no cure? Why don't we have a cure for cancer?
It's a good question. I really hope that eventually, with continued awareness, continued research, we'll get closer and closer. But the advancement in treating cancer is also significant. It's so amazing the advancement in treating it. So I would say I do hope. We don't always have the answers for everything. So we'll
And
keep you
I, and
posted.
I think that's actually that question, in as much as our listener may not get a very detailed response during the panel discussion. I think that would be a good forum,
Yes.
to listen and to gather information, given the level of expertise and the experiences of those who will be sharing their experiences, as well as the expertise of the oncologist and the surgeon and so on, and to get a more in-depth view, because today we're just sharing some of the the activities and speaking very much, at a certain, maybe not, it's not too in depth, but I'm
Right.
sure that the panel discussion time will allow for more in depth discussion because it is 2 hours, right? It's a 2 hour
Yes.
program, panel
Yeah,
discussion,
approximately about 1.5. Yeah.
1.5. So
For the
hopefully,
entire thing would be 2, but the discussion will be 1.5.
there will be an opportunity to go a little bit more in depth and allow people to have some of those other questions that they have answered, and also to get a better feel of what cancer diagnosis, care, and treatment is all about. So I am encouraging everybody on behalf of the Ministry of Health to tune in. Naomi, can you remind us of the platforms on which we can tune in? Because I won't be there in person, so I will be tuning in as well virtually.
Okay. Yeah, so they could check it out on Facebook, Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Elderly Affairs, St. Lucia, and also on YouTube, MOH Communications.
Wonderful. So,
Thank
Naomi, it
you.
was a pleasure having you with
Same
us
here.
today on Casualty 911. You're always welcome.
Yes. Please feel free to invite. So yes, I will make the
You
time.
did a great job. I
Thank you
think
so
you
much.
are doing a wonderful job in
Oh,
even behind the scenes. I just want to let you know that what we have listened to here today, it took a lot of effort behind the scenes. I
mhm.
congratulate you, and I hope that you will continue because you're doing an excellent job, and we
Oh, thank
appreciate
you so
it.
much.
We really do
Ah, I appreciate.
appreciate it. I'm excited to tune into the panel discussion, and I hope everybody listening will join us on Wednesday, the 5th from 12
From 12?
to
Yes, from
12.
12.
Yes. Thank you so much again, Naomi. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Please tune in next week at 10 a.m. for another edition of Casualty 911 on 88.5 Super FM. Bye.
Blessings. Bye.